Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Emma Brooks had always dreamed of becoming a renowned artist, though the reality of her life as a struggling waitress made that dream seem almost impossible. On this particular afternoon, she stood at a small cafe in the heart of New York City, trying to escape the bitter cold. The soft hum of conversations and the clink of silverware filled the air around her. She stood by the window, her breath fogging up the glass as she glanced at the crowd inside. She wasn't supposed to be here. She had promised Jenny, her best friend, that she would finally go on this blind date. She'd never imagined the kind of life she wanted could come from something like this. Taking a deep breath, Emma made her way toward him, her hands trembling slightly as she approached. With a forced smile, she leaned in and greeted him. "Hi. You must be Kevin. I'm Emma. It's nice to meet you." He looked up, startled, blinking a couple of times, his expression unreadable. He was taken aback, his eyes flickering with confusion. Hi, Emma," he replied, his voice low, almost uncertain. Kevin paused, his business associate's text lingering on his phone, canceling their meeting. Something about Emma's earnestness made him hesitate. He wasn't used to people being this genuine, especially not at a place like this. He decided to play along, offering a faint smile. "Right, blind dates are something else," he agreed, his tone softening. Kevin smiled lightly. "You're easy to talk to, too." He sat back in his chair, his gaze lingering on her face as he took in her words, the sincerity behind them. Kevin's smile faltered as guilt flashed across his face. "No, I'm not," he admitted softly, his eyes searching hers. Kevin stood up too, watching her go, a strange mixture of regret and curiosity swirling inside him. He had meant to correct her right away, but something about her warmth and honesty, had made him pause. As he watched her disappear into the cold night, he couldn't shake the feeling that he would never forget her. To be continued. The next day, Emma sat at her small kitchen table, staring at the blank canvas in front of her. The coffee in her mug had long since gone cold, but she hadn't touched it. Her mind kept racing back to the night before, to the awkward moment in the cafe. The image of the man she had mistaken for Kevin lingered in her thoughts. She could still see his dark, carefully styled hair and the way his eyes had softened when she spoke. But it was the way he had looked at her, with genuine curiosity, that kept her awake last night. Emma sighed and shook her head, trying to focus on the brush in her hand. She had a gallery exhibit to prepare for, and this was supposed to be her big break. The work in front of her should be her focus, not the mysterious man she had met by mistake. Yet, every time she picked up her brush, her thoughts drifted back to him. She felt ridiculous for running out so quickly. She had never been one to get embarrassed, but this felt different. She pushed the thought aside, focusing on her work instead. The soft strokes of her brush on the canvas were calming, almost meditative. But then, the phone buzzed. She glanced at it absently before picking it up. It was a message from Jenny. "So, did you find your Kevin?" it read. Emma groaned, and set the phone back down without replying. Jenny had been teasing her all day about the blind date she'd set up. But Emma wasn't in the mood to talk about it. She had a bigger problem now, the gallery exhibit. Hours passed, and by late afternoon, Emma's nerves were in full swing. Her exhibit was just a week away, and she wasn't ready. She had a collection of works, but nothing she felt was truly spectacular. She was about to give up when she heard the knock on her door. She wasn't expecting anyone, so she hesitated before answering it. When she opened the door, standing in front of her was none other than the man from the cafe. He was dressed in a sleek black jacket, his hands tucked into his pockets, and his face slightly flushed from the cold outside. His eyes met hers, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. Emma felt her breath catch in her throat, unsure of what to say. Emma's heart skipped a beat. "Talk?" she repeated, still in shock. "About what?" He shifted uncomfortably. "I'm Liam Parker," he said, his voice soft but steady. "I'm the guy you thought was Kevin last night. And I need to apologize. I should have corrected you when you sat down, but I didn't. I wasn't sure how, or if I even should." Emma blinked, her mind racing to catch up with the sudden revelation. The name didn't mean much to her, but the confidence in his tone left her feeling unsettled. This wasn't just some random guy. He was someone important, someone powerful. She was about to speak, but Liam cut her off. Emma stood there, stunned. "What are you saying?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. She still didn't know how to feel about him showing up like this, but part of her was intrigued. Part of her was still holding on to the connection they had made, even if it had been a misunderstanding. Emma felt a rush of emotions. She had been struggling for so long, doing everything she could just to make ends meet, to survive. And now, this stranger, this man, was offering her a way out. But something felt off. Was this too good to be true? Was she just another project for him to fix? His expression softened. "Nothing except for you to keep doing what you love. I don't want anything more than that. I know it seems strange, but I've been in a place where I didn't know what to do with my life anymore. And talking to you, it reminded me that passion, real passion, is what matters. I want to see you succeed. But I understand if you don't trust me." This is all so sudden. Emma didn't know what to think. Her heart was racing, torn between disbelief and hope. Could this really be the chance she had been waiting for? Was he offering her a lifeline, or was this just another way to complicate her life? She felt like she was standing on the edge of something huge, and yet, she was scared to take the leap. She swallowed hard before speaking again. "Why me?" she asked softly. "Why offer all this to someone like me?" Liam's gaze was steady, unwavering. "Because I see something in you. Something real. Something I haven't seen in a long time." Emma took a long pause, trying to make sense of it all. It felt like her world was shifting, like she was being pulled into something she couldn't control. She looked at Liam, her voice barely a whisper. To be continued. The days that followed were a whirlwind for Emma. She found herself caught between disbelief and excitement as she processed Liam's offer. A studio. The opportunity to finally showcase her work in the way she had always dreamed. But there was something else, a lingering question in the back of her mind. Why had he chosen her? Why had he decided to help her, of all people? Was it really just about her art, or was there something more to this? She couldn't shake the feeling that she was walking into something much bigger than she had anticipated. The next morning, Emma stood in front of her small apartment's mirror, her hand hovering over the clothes in her closet. She felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Her fingers brushed over an old dress she had worn to a gallery opening a year ago. She picked it up and held it against her body, unsure whether it still fit. With a deep breath, she tossed it aside and reached for something more comfortable. A simple, yet elegant outfit that reflected the person she had become over the years. She was still the same Emma, the same artist, but now, she had a chance to be more. To be seen, to be heard. As she made her way to the studio space Liam had promised, her mind raced with 1,000 thoughts. What would it be like? Was it a legitimate opportunity, or just a business deal? She had no idea what to expect, but she couldn't deny the excitement building within her. Her art had always been her escape, but now, it could be her future. When Emma arrived, she was greeted by a receptionist who led her through a sleek, modern lobby. The space was impressive, vast open areas, bright white walls adorned with contemporary art, and large windows letting in natural light. It was a stark contrast to the cramped apartment and makeshift studio she had worked in for years. As she followed the receptionist down a long corridor, her heart raced. This was the world Liam came from, a world she had only dreamed of being a part of. Finally, they arrived at a spacious studio, bathed in sunlight. It was everything Emma had hoped for and more. The floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a stunning view of the city, and the room itself was filled with supplies. Paints, canvases, brushes, everything she could possibly need. She felt overwhelmed, but in the best possible way. It felt like she had been given a blank canvas to start fresh. Emma turned to the receptionist, her voice shaky. "This is incredible," she whispered, barely able to take it all in. The receptionist smiled warmly. "Mr. Parker thought you might like it. He said to make yourself at home." As she settled into the new space, Emma's mind wandered back to the conversation she'd had with Liam. He had been so genuine, so passionate about her work. And yet, she still couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this than just an art deal. She had seen the way he looked at her, the way he listened when she spoke about her struggles, her dreams. She knew there was something deeper there, but she couldn't quite figure it out. The next few days flew by in a blur of excitement and uncertainty. Emma spent hours working in the studio, pouring her heart into her art. Liam checked in regularly, offering support and encouragement, but always keeping a respectful distance. Their interactions were professional, but Emma couldn't ignore the subtle glances, the quiet moments where their eyes met across the room. There was an unspoken connection between them that neither of them acknowledged. One afternoon, Liam arrived at the studio unannounced. He stood in the doorway, watching Emma as she worked, her focus entirely on the canvas in front of her. It was a quiet moment, but there was something about the way he stood there, just observing, that made her feel exposed. She wiped her paint-covered hands on a cloth and turned to face him. He smiled, stepping into the room. "Just checking in. How's it going?" She nodded, glancing around at the half-finished painting on her easel. "It's going well. I'm still not sure about everything. This place, this opportunity, it's all a lot to take in." He walked closer, his expression softening. "I understand. It's a big change. But you've got something special, Emma. I wouldn't have brought you here if I didn't believe in you." Her heart skipped a beat. His words meant more to her than she expected. She didn't know why, but in that moment, it felt like he wasn't just talking about her art. He was talking about her, the real her, the person she had hidden away for so long. For the first time, Emma allowed herself to believe in what he was saying. Maybe this wasn't just a business deal. Maybe, just maybe, Liam was offering her more than an opportunity. Maybe he was offering her a chance at a new beginning, one that could change everything. But as she looked at him, she couldn't help but wonder if she was ready for it. Could she really trust him? Or was she simply falling for the fantasy of what she wanted this to be? To be continued. The days passed in a blur of colors, brushes, and unfinished thoughts. Emma spent every waking hour in the studio, pouring herself into her art. Each stroke on the canvas was an attempt to capture the essence of what she wanted her future to be. Something more than just surviving. Something more than just scraping by. And yet, no matter how hard she worked, no matter how much she painted, a part of her couldn't shake the uncertainty that gnawed at her. Liam's presence, his words, his belief in her, it was all so overwhelming. She had never imagined someone like him could see something in her, but now, here she was, in a studio that felt like a dream, questioning everything. One afternoon, after a particularly long stretch of painting, Emma leaned back in her chair, wiping the sweat from her forehead. The studio felt empty, even though it was filled with potential. She had poured so much of herself into her work that day, and yet, the painting in front of her felt incomplete. The door to the studio opened, and Emma turned around to see Liam standing in the doorway. His usual confident demeanor was softened today, and he looked at her with something akin to admiration. "You've been here all day," he said, his voice warm. "Are you taking a break anytime soon?" Emma smiled weakly, her exhaustion starting to hit her. "I should probably take a break. But, I don't know. It's like, I can't stop. I have to make this work." Liam stepped further into the room, his gaze never leaving her. "It will work. I know it will. You're talented, Emma. You just need to trust yourself." She looked at him, really looked at him for the first time in a while. It was strange, how his words seemed to cut through all her doubts, all the fears she had about herself. Was he just being kind, or did he really see something in her that no one else had? "I'm trying," she said softly. "But there's a part of me that's scared. Scared of failing. Scared of trusting you, trusting this whole thing. I'm not used to people believing in me." Liam's expression softened, and he walked closer to her, stopping beside her easel. He studied the painting in front of her for a moment, his fingers lightly brushing the edge of the canvas. "You're not alone in this, Emma. You don't have to do it all on your own anymore." Emma's heart raced. There was something in his voice, something in the way he spoke to her that made her believe his words were genuine. But there was still a hesitation deep inside her. She had always been independent, had always relied on herself. Letting someone in, letting someone like Liam become a part of her life, was terrifying. And yet, a part of her wanted to believe in it. In him. The silence between them stretched, and Emma shifted uncomfortably. She had never been good at opening up, but something about Liam made her want to try. "I'm just afraid that. I don't know. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not cut out for any of this. You, this studio, this chance you're giving me. Maybe it's all too much for someone like me." Liam's eyes met hers, his gaze unwavering. "You're stronger than you think, Emma. You've already come so far. Trust me when I say this. You're meant for more than just surviving." You're meant to thrive. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his words settle into her chest. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe that this was her chance to step into the life she had always dreamed of. But there was still a part of her that wondered if she was just chasing a fantasy. Was she really ready for this kind of change? Was she ready to trust someone else with her future? As if reading her mind, Liam spoke again, his voice gentle but firm. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. Just take it one step at a time. Let me help you. And if nothing else, let me believe in you. Because I do. Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She swallowed it down, not wanting to show the vulnerability she felt. She wasn't sure if she was ready to give him her trust, but in that moment, she knew one thing for certain. She couldn't ignore the connection between them anymore. It was real, undeniable, and it was changing everything. She nodded, her voice barely a whisper. Okay, I'll trust you, but you have to promise me something. Liam raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What's that? Promise me that this isn't just about business. That this isn't just about you helping me make it big. I need to know that you believe in me, in my art, for who I am, not just what I can do for you. Liam's smile was soft and reassuring. I promise. This is about you, Emma. Your art, your passion. I'm here because I believe in you, and that's not going to change. Emma felt a weight lift from her chest, and for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to believe in the possibility of something more. Something real. To be continued. Days turned into weeks, and Emma's life began to shift in ways she never thought possible. The studio became her sanctuary, a place where she could lose herself in her art, without the constant weight of uncertainty. Liam's presence was a steady reminder that she didn't have to face everything alone anymore. His belief in her, his quiet encouragement, had ignited something inside of her. For the first time in years, Emma felt like she was on the verge of something real, not just in her art, but in her life. But as the days went by, Emma found herself grappling with a new set of emotions. The more time she spent with Liam, the more she realized how deeply connected they had become. What started as a simple business arrangement was turning into something more complicated. She couldn't deny the attraction she felt toward him. There was something about the way he listened to her, the way he respected her, that made her feel seen in a way no one had before. Yet, the fear that had always lingered in her chest, the fear of being hurt, of trusting someone too much, was still there. One evening, as Emma worked on her latest piece, the sound of a knock on the door broke her concentration. She looked up, startled, and quickly wiped the paint from her hands as she walked over to answer it. When she opened the door, there stood Liam, holding a small bouquet of flowers in his hand. I thought you could use a break, he said with a smile, his voice low and warm. You've been working nonstop, and I wanted to remind you that there's more to life than just art. Emma's heart skipped a beat as she looked at him, the bouquet a small yet thoughtful gesture. Thank you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't expect this. Liam stepped inside, his presence filling the room. You deserve it, he said softly. I've been watching you pour everything into your work. But you can't burn yourself out. You've got to take care of yourself, too. Emma took the flowers from him, her fingers brushing against his for a brief moment. The touch sent a wave of warmth through her, and for the first time, she allowed herself to truly feel the connection between them. She hadn't realized how much she had missed simple gestures like this, moments of kindness that didn't come with any strings attached. I appreciate it, she said, her eyes meeting his. I guess I've been so focused on making this work that I forgot to look up and see what's right in front of me. Liam smiled, his eyes locking with hers. You've been so focused on your dreams, Emma. But it's okay to let yourself be happy along the way. It's okay to let people in. Emma hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to respond. The words he spoke resonated deeply with her. She had always believed that happiness was something to be earned, something that came after hard work and sacrifice. But now, she was starting to see things differently. Maybe happiness didn't always have to come after everything was perfect. Maybe it could be found in the moments between the struggles, in the connections she made along the way. She looked at the bouquet in her hands, her mind swirling with thoughts. I've always been afraid of letting people in, she admitted, her voice quieter now. Afraid of getting hurt, afraid of trusting too much. Liam's expression softened, and he stepped closer, his presence calming. I understand. Trust is hard. But I'm not going anywhere, Emma. I believe in you, in your art, in your dreams. And I'm here because I want to see you succeed, not just as an artist, but as you. All of you. The sincerity in his words touched her deeply, and for the first time, Emma felt her walls begin to crack. She had spent so long guarding herself, afraid of being vulnerable, but something about Liam made her feel like it was okay to let go of that fear. I want to believe you, she said softly, her voice trembling slightly. But I'm scared. I'm scared that this is all too good to be true. Liam reached out and gently took her hand, his grip firm yet gentle. You don't have to be scared, Emma. You don't have to do this alone. We're in this together. For a moment, the world outside the studio faded away. It was just the two of them, standing in the quiet space, surrounded by the energy of Emma's work. She felt a sense of calm wash over her, and in that moment, she knew that Liam wasn't just offering her an opportunity in art. He was offering her a chance to heal, to grow, and to trust again. As the evening went on, they talked more, laughed, and shared stories. The connection between them deepened, and Emma began to realize that this was the kind of support she had always needed. It wasn't just about the art, or the studio, or the opportunity. It was about someone believing in her, someone who cared enough to show up, even when it was unexpected. And in that moment, Emma made a decision. She was going to trust him. She was going to trust herself. To be continued. The following weeks were filled with a mix of excitement and uncertainty for Emma. As she continued to work in the studio, the days seemed to blur together. Liam had kept his promise. He was there for her, offering support in ways she never expected. He'd continued to check in on her progress, offering advice when needed, but always leaving the decisions up to her. The connection between them grew stronger, but Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was just out of reach. She had allowed herself to be vulnerable with him, but doubts still lingered, hidden behind the walls she had spent so many years building. One evening, as Emma put the finishing touches on a painting she had been working on for weeks, she heard a soft knock at the door. Startled, she wiped her hands on a cloth and walked over to answer it. Standing on the other side of the door was Liam, looking as polished as ever, his smile warm as usual. He held a small box in his hands, wrapped in simple brown paper. I hope I'm not interrupting, he said, his voice quiet but genuine. I thought you might like something to help you unwind for once. Emma raised an eyebrow, curious. What is it? She asked, stepping aside to let him in. Liam stepped inside, his eyes scanning the room before landing on the painting she was working on. I can see you've been busy, he remarked with a nod toward the canvas. I'll take a guess and say you haven't been sleeping much, huh? Emma smiled sheepishly. Yeah, I've been working nonstop. But it's been worth it. I'm really starting to see things come together. Liam placed the box down on the table, and as he did, his expression softened. I can tell. You've got something special, Emma. You've been giving everything you've got, but I also know you've been carrying a lot on your own. She paused, taken aback by the sincerity in his voice. She had always been independent, but Liam's words made her realize how much she had been holding on to. The weight of her past, her fears of failure, of trusting someone completely, all of it had been weighing on her for so long. I don't want to mess this up, Emma said softly, her voice trembling slightly as she turned away from him, her gaze drifting back to the painting in front of her. Liam walked over and gently placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch reassuring. You're not alone in this, Emma. You've got me. And more importantly, you've got yourself. You've already done the hardest part. Emma took a deep breath and slowly turned back to face him. She had been so focused on her art, on the fear of failure, that she hadn't allowed herself to see how far she had come. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she was truly standing on the edge of something beautiful, something real. Thank you, she whispered, the words barely audible. You've helped me more than you know. Liam smiled, his eyes soft. You're welcome, but this is all you. You've earned it. He reached for the small box he had brought, placing it gently in her hands. This is for you, he said. I thought it might be something you'd appreciate. Emma glanced down at the box, her fingers carefully unwrapping it. Inside, she found a delicate sketchbook, its cover soft and worn, almost as if it had been made just for her. The pages inside were blank, ready to be filled with whatever she wanted. I know how much you love to draw, Liam said. I thought maybe it would help you explore more freely. You've been working so hard, but sometimes the best ideas come when you don't have to think about them too much. Emma's breath caught in her throat as she looked at the sketchbook. It was a small gesture, but it felt like so much more. She could see the thought and care behind it, the understanding of who she was, of what she needed. This wasn't just about art. This was about seeing her, truly seeing her, in a way no one else had before. "Thank you," she said again, her voice filled with emotion. "This means a lot to me." For a moment, there was only silence between them, a peaceful kind of quiet that spoke volumes. And then, Liam spoke again, his tone softer now. "You deserve more than just a chance, Emma. You deserve to be happy. You deserve everything that comes with your talent and your heart. Don't forget that." Emma looked up at him, her heart beating faster than it ever had before. For so long, she had pushed away the idea of happiness, of trusting someone enough to let them in. But now, standing here, with Liam so close, she could feel her walls begin to crumble. Maybe it was time to stop being afraid. Maybe it was time to let herself believe that she was worthy of more. "I won't forget," she whispered, her voice full of newfound resolve. And for the first time in a long time, she truly believed it. To be continued. The weeks that followed felt like a turning point for Emma. The sketchbook Liam had given her sat on her desk, its soft, blank pages almost calling to her. It was a symbol of everything she had been afraid to embrace. The freedom to create without boundaries, to explore without the constant pressure of perfection. For the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe, like her art wasn't just something to survive off of, but something that was a part of her, something worth fighting for. Yet, despite the growing confidence she felt in her work, there was still a lingering uncertainty that shadowed her thoughts. She had opened herself up to Liam in ways she never had with anyone else, but the fear of trusting him, of allowing herself to fully rely on him, remained. She was afraid of getting hurt, afraid that the deeper she fell into this, the harder it would be to walk away if it all fell apart. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon when Emma received a call from Liam. She had just finished a long stretch of painting and was sitting at the small table in her studio, staring at her latest piece. The phone buzzed on the counter, breaking the silence. "Hey, Emma." Liam's voice came through, warm and familiar. "I know you've been working hard, but I think it's time we do something for you. There's an art event next week, a gala. It's a big opportunity to show your work to a wider audience. I want you to be a part of it." Emma's heart skipped a beat. A gala? Her work shown to a wider audience? She wasn't sure if she was ready for something like that. The thought of being in the spotlight made her stomach churn. But then again, the very idea of it felt like the breakthrough she had been waiting for. "I don't know, Liam. I'm still not sure if I'm ready for that kind of attention," Emma said hesitantly, her voice betraying the nerve she felt. "What if my work isn't good enough? What if they don't like it?" "Emma," Liam interrupted gently, "your work is incredible. I've seen it. You're more than ready. This is your chance to show the world what you're capable of. And I'll be there every step of the way." She could hear the sincerity in his voice, and for the first time, Emma didn't feel the need to second-guess his words. She had come so far, and this was the moment she had been building up to for years. Yet, there was still a small part of her that held back, that feared what might happen next. "Okay," she said softly, taking a deep breath. "I'll do it. I trust you." Liam's voice brightened. "That's what I wanted to hear. I'll take care of everything. All you need to do is show up and let your art speak for itself." Emma hung up the phone, her hands trembling slightly. She stared at the painting she had been working on, unsure of how to feel. This was a huge step, but it was also the kind of leap she had been avoiding for so long. Could she really do this? Could she put herself out there and let others see what she had spent so many years perfecting? As the days passed, the gala quickly approached. Emma worked day and night, preparing her art, making sure every brushstroke was just right. But no matter how much she painted, there was always a lingering doubt in her mind. Was this truly her moment? Or was she just fooling herself, thinking she was ready when she wasn't? The night of the gala arrived, and Emma stood in front of the full-length mirror in her apartment, adjusting the dress she had chosen. She barely recognized herself. The woman staring back at her was someone different, confident, ready. But underneath that confidence, the same fears still clung to her. She wasn't sure what this night would bring, but for the first time, she allowed herself to embrace the unknown. When she arrived at the event, Liam was waiting for her by the entrance, his presence calm and reassuring. He smiled as she approached, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. "You look amazing," he said, his voice filled with admiration. Emma smiled, a little bashful. Thanks. I'm nervous, though. I feel like I'm about to be judged. Liam placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch grounding. Don't worry about that. Tonight is about you, your art. Just enjoy the moment. They walked inside together, and Emma couldn't help but feel the weight of the event settle in. But as she looked around, seeing the other artists, the guests, and the excitement in the air, something shifted inside her. This was her world, her dream come true. And for the first time, Emma knew that no matter what happened, she had already won. To be continued. The gala hall was filled with an elegant hum of chatter and laughter, the air thick with the scent of fine wine and freshly polished wood. Emma stood with Liam, surrounded by people whose faces were a blur, as her eyes kept drifting to her paintings hanging on the walls. Each piece was a reflection of her journey, raw, authentic, and full of emotion. But in the midst of all the praise, something inside her remained unsettled. She had worked so hard to get here, yet the fear of being judged, of being exposed, still clung to her. As the night wore on, Emma felt the weight of the event. People came by, complimenting her work, some asking about her process, others simply admiring her talent. Liam was by her side, always present, a constant source of support and encouragement. But as the evening stretched on, she couldn't ignore the sense that something was shifting between them. You're doing great, Liam said softly, standing beside her as they watched the crowd admire her paintings. He had always been calm, collected, but tonight, there was something different about him. His usual easy smile seemed to carry a layer of tension that she couldn't quite place. Emma smiled up at him, trying to push aside the lingering doubt. It's just a lot, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I've never done anything like this before. It feels like everything is on the line. Liam turned to face her, his expression serious for a moment. This is your moment, Emma, he said, his tone deeper than usual. You've earned it. You deserve to be here. Don't let anyone take that away from you, especially not yourself. His words hit her harder than she expected. She had spent so many years running from the idea of truly trusting anyone, even herself. But now, standing here, in the middle of this grand event, she felt a shift within her. Maybe it wasn't about the validation of others. Maybe it was about finally seeing herself the way Liam saw her, strong, capable, worthy. As the evening progressed, Emma found herself more and more at ease, her earlier anxieties slowly fading into the background. She spoke with a few more guests, answered questions about her art, and even managed to enjoy herself. But then, towards the end of the night, something unexpected happened. One of the curators, a well-known figure in the art world, approached her with a glass of champagne in hand. He introduced himself, his demeanor polite but distant, as if he was sizing her up. Ms. Brooks, I must say, your work is truly remarkable, he said, his gaze lingering a little too long on her. But I have to wonder, have you ever considered moving in a more commercial direction? Your talent is undeniable, but there's more money to be made in the mainstream art scene. Emma's stomach tightened, the question hitting her like a cold wave. She had always struggled with the idea of selling out, of compromising her art for commercial success. But as she stood there, in front of this man, a small part of her felt the pull of the offer. I've always believed that art should be true to the artist, she said, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside her. I don't want to lose myself in the process of making money. The curator smiled, though it seemed a little forced. Of course, he replied. But every artist has their price, don't they? Before she could respond, Liam stepped in, his presence as solid and reassuring as always. I think Emma knows exactly what she wants, he said, his tone firm. And that's what makes her work so powerful. She doesn't need to compromise her vision for anyone. The curator gave Liam a brief nod before walking away, leaving Emma standing there, feeling a mix of gratitude and awe. Liam had defended her, spoken up for her in a way that felt like a shield against the pressures she had always feared. She turned to him, her voice full of emotion. Thank you. I don't think I could have said that without you here. Liam smiled, his expression softening. You're stronger than you think, Emma. You just needed someone to remind you. As the night drew to a close, Emma felt something inside her click into place. She had come here tonight with doubts and fears, unsure of where she fit in this world. But now, surrounded by people who appreciated her art, who saw her for who she truly was, she realized that she had nothing to prove. She was exactly where she was meant to be. And as she looked at Liam, standing beside her, she realized that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't the only one who had been changed by this journey. Maybe he was, too. To be continued. The gala ended, but the night lingered in Emma's mind like the final brushstroke on a painting. She had faced her fears, stood up for her art, and for the first time, truly believed in her own worth. The guests had gone, the music had faded, and the soft hum of the city outside felt distant, almost surreal. But as she stood there with Liam, surrounded by the quiet emptiness of the gallery, she felt a sense of peace settle over her. Everything had changed, and yet, in the best way, everything had stayed the same. She was still Emma Brooks, the artist who had always fought for her vision. But now, she had the strength to believe in herself, and the courage to trust the people who had believed in her. Liam turned to her, his expression soft, his eyes filled with something Emma couldn't quite place. Admiration, perhaps, or something deeper. He took a step closer, his hand brushing hers in a fleeting moment of contact that sent a spark of warmth through her. "You were incredible tonight," Liam said, his voice quiet, but full of meaning. "I hope you know that. You've shown everyone what you're capable of, but more importantly, you've shown yourself." Emma smiled, her heart fluttering at his words. "I couldn't have done it without you. You were the one who pushed me to believe." Liam looked at her for a moment, his gaze steady and unwavering. "You didn't need me to push you, Emma. You had it in you all along. I just gave you the space to realize that." She nodded slowly, feeling the weight of his words sink in. For so long, she had doubted herself, had questioned whether she was truly worthy of the life she was creating. But now, with each passing day, she was learning to trust not just in her art, but in herself. And for the first time, she understood what Liam had meant when he said she was stronger than she thought. She wasn't just a struggling artist anymore. She was someone who had found her voice, someone who had the power to shape her own destiny. As the two of them stood there in the empty gallery, Emma felt the undeniable pull of something more between them. The connection had always been there, subtle but real, and now, she could feel it vibrating in the air between them. She hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to speak her heart or leave it unsaid. But Liam's next words answered her unspoken question. "Emma," he began, his voice low and full of emotion. "I've been wanting to say this for a while, but I wasn't sure if the timing was right. But now I think it is." He paused, searching her eyes. "I believe in you, not just as an artist, but as a person, and I want to be here for you, through all of it. Not just for your art, but for everything. For us." Her heart skipped a beat. For a moment, everything around her seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them in the quiet, still gallery. She had known, deep down, that this moment was coming, but hearing it from him made it all the more real. She had been so afraid to open up, to let someone in. But now, with Liam, it felt right. She took a deep breath, her voice barely above a whisper as she responded. "I want that too. I've been afraid for so long, afraid of trusting, afraid of what could happen. But I think I'm ready now. I want to see where this goes, with you. I want to build something real." Liam smiled, his eyes bright with a mixture of relief and joy. "Then let's build it together. One step at a time. No more doubts." And in that moment, Emma knew she was ready. She was ready to trust, to open her heart, and to embrace whatever came next. It wasn't just about the art anymore. It was about living fully, about finding love, and about believing in herself. As they walked out of the gallery, side by side, Emma felt a sense of contentment settle over her. She had finally found her place, and she knew that with Liam by her side, her future was brighter than ever. To be continued.